Chirohustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. Before we dive into this powerful episode, please remember to subscribe to our channels and to give us a 5-star rating on iTunes to continue hustling. This episode is sponsored by Imaging Services, Chiro Health USA, Chiro Moguls, Pure Chiro Notes, Titronics, Sherman College of Chiropractic, New Patients in a Box, the Influencer Authority Podcast Training, Mango Voice, Life Chiropractic College West, and M-Sculpt. Let's hustle.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 477 of the Chiro Hustle podcast. I am your producer, Luke Millette, and here's your host, James Chester.
So today we had the opportunity of interviewing Dr. Dahren. And if you want to hear how to build business partners and that the body needs nothing extra in it, it simply needs no interference, stay tuned. Welcome back. This is another episode of the Chiro Hustle podcast, 477 today. Got Dahren coming in from California. I'm joining today from beautiful state of Colorado. And before we get into this dynamic episode, talking all things chiropractic, I just want to let you guys know the big why. Why do we do what we do over here? Well, freedom of speech is an important thing, and our show protects that. We also protect family freedom, medical freedom, and those things are very sound because of what they mean to our culture. Secondly, we protect BJ Palmer's Sacred Trust. If you don't know what that is, go to your favorite search engine right now and pause the show and go find out BJ Palmer's last words were, and you'll know a whole lot more about chiropractic. And then on top of that, we support subluxation-based chiropractic, innate intelligence, and universal intelligence. And we believe that man or woman, when they get adjusted by a chiropractor, it connects them, the physical, to them, the spiritual. And with that being said, Dr. Dahren, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. My name is pronounced Dahren.
Dahren, sorry.
Just in case anybody sees me on the street and wants to say hi. But thank you so much. I'm really excited to be here, and I really love all the work that you're doing. And I hope that this reaches and helps as many people as possible.
Yeah, I was just kind of telling you the story. I don't get a chance to tell that story a lot about like how we got going.
Yeah.
And I think, 5 years into creating a podcast, and now we're episode 477 and, pushing that line right to get to 500, which is really, really cool in the podcast world.
Nice.
But I think, more than anything, the meaningful the message of chiropractic. And I think that the message of chiropractic is, like they said, when the whole thing happened 3 years ago, it's more important now than ever. And the chiropractic profession is more important now than ever.
Yeah.
And chiropractors going out and serving their communities is more important now than ever.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I didn't get a chance to ask you your origin story. I kind of wanted to wait for the show to start. But how did you get into the profession? I know you've been out since 2019. And you're an associate, and I just like to hear how it all happened and how you got to where you are today.
So it's actually kind of an interesting story. My experience with chiropractic, was more of a roundabout getting into the profession. I like to say that it was destiny that called me into this profession. So initially, I was an undergrad, getting my degree, therapeutic exercise and rehabilitation, kinesiology degree. And I was thinking about going in to become an orthopedic surgeon. Did a little bit more research into the field and, found that, drugs and surgery weren't really congruent with my personal idea of life. I believe that, there's so much more to humanity, to life. There's more magic, there's more substance than what we're taught and what we're told and what's revealed to us on a day-to-day basis. So I went in search of something that would, fulfill that for me or bring me closer to that. Didn't have much luck. I went to a counselor and he actually referred me to a close friend of his. I was a chiropractor and he was like, I think that you should look into this. So I went to go intern for that chiropractor. He's Dr. Dion Jenkins, working out in Sacramento right now. Great guy. But at that time, I didn't feel necessarily called to the profession. Plus, I was going through a lot of personal traumatic experiences in my life. So He convinced me to apply to Lifewest, even though, I was like, I'm not sure that this is for me. And so I did, and I deferred my acceptance for 1 year. And during that year, I, wasn't sure that I wanted to be a chiropractor. Had a couple of conversations with my dad, and he was steering me towards going towards the military. So I was thinking I was going to join the Navy when I took my ASVAB test and things of that nature. And I had a date that I was supposed to come in and sign my paperwork to commit. And that date was, say if today was a Saturday, it wasn't the following Monday, but it was the Monday after, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that Saturday, I get a phone call from Debbie Calero in the admissions office at Lifewest. Shout out to Debbie, because if she didn't call me that Saturday, I never would have been a chiropractor. And she was like, "Hey, this is Debbie Calero from Lifewest. Just wondering if you're kind of be coming to school because the quarter starts on Monday." And I was like, I didn't even really remember what Lifewest was, and I was like, "No, I'm going to be going to the Navy actually." And she was like, "My son's in the military, and he wishes that he would have done something else." And I was like, "Okay, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's right for me, but let me see what you got to say." And she was like, "Okay, well, in California, you can go to graduate school for 7 days and get a full refund on your financial aid if you decide that you don't like it."
Wow.
Yeah. And she called me like literally the Saturday before. And so I had exactly a 7-day window before I was supposed to sign paperwork to go to the Navy. And she was like, "So what are you doing on Monday?" And I was like, I guess I'm coming to school. So I had a family member who lived in Oakland. So I kind of packed up my bags, moved to Oakland, which is close to Hayward, near Lifewest, and went there on Monday morning. First class was Philosophy 1, and they talked about how the body was self-healing and self-organizing organism, and how there is an innate intelligence which fuels and propels these forces to come together for the greater good and higher coordination of the body. And it was literally just like a light bulb went off in my head, and like I felt like it was in the right place at the right time. And I feel like I very rarely have had those feelings, and whenever I do, I always listen to them, and I haven't looked back ever since.
That says something about the early stages of other people being, on your team,
Mm-hmm.
And we don't even know who's on our team until they show up.
Yeah.
And it's really cool. It's a great story, man. And how you got up to college, and how you're able to like learn philosophy from day one. I think that's a huge thing to say. And I talked to a lot of chiros, and I think a couple fundamentals that we're missing when it comes to like the grad and like the new chiropractors are that I've heard a lot of times we're not getting good philosophy in school.
Yeah.
And techniques aren't thriving. So I think that it's cool to know that you were actually, learning technique, and you were learning philosophy in school. I think those things we have to talk about that more.
Mm-hmm. It's crucial. Yeah, it's so crucial, especially, to even the individual practice as a chiropractor, coming from a place of trying to free up this person's innate intelligence, or remove the blockage of the innate intelligence versus just moving a bone because it's a fixation. I feel like that comes from a different place in the spirit, and allows for miraculous healing to happen.
I think so too, man. And I'm curious, and I'm sure everybody out there's watching, friends, family, colleagues, other people, like, how did you get so good at adjusting? Like, what did you do? What was the path you took to become a better adjuster?
Well, the first thing I did was, I just went towards whatever interests me. Like I tried to try as many things as possible that I could. And I took a lot of seminars in school, and not every seminar was focused solely on adjusting. Some of them was just about building connection and building rapport with the patient. One of them that was crucial for me, I would say, is a seminar that I took with John Martinez and Eric Rubin, called the Tao of Chiropractic. And it was all about listening to the yeses and the nos of the body, and how to really bring that body into ease as you're delivering that adjustment, because that's the whole point, right? It's like, correction of the cause of dis-ease, like it's in the definition of chiropractic. And so when you're delivering that adjustment and you're bringing that body into a place where it's ready to receive that adjustment, it makes it cleaner, lighter, like the transference of energy, of force, so that body can, use it to make things better. It's just so much more it's on a higher level, I would say. And so from there, I took those principles and those components and, went into a bunch of different fields, a bunch of different backgrounds. I mean, I've taken some of the Kairos seminars. They're awesome. Done further work with John Martinez, certified in, got my 100-hour applied kinesiology certification. And, it's been a lot. It's been a really good journey. I appreciate every moment of it.
I think it's really awesome to hear that you're learning how to rebalance the body through adjustment. Mm-hmm. And, I think AK is one of those things that a lot of practitioners utilize. I think that muscle testing can tell us a lot where there's deficiencies and triggering from the spine. Mm-hmm. And I think that that's a really cool technique. So I think once you learn how to decode the body, mm-hmm. and then you can learn how to re-input into it, you're going to change a lot of people's physiology, which they don't even know what the outcome will be. That's what I love about chiropractic is once the practitioner becomes really good at decoding where the subluxation is, mm-hmm. and then correcting the subluxation, we don't know what's going to happen. I used to work in a clinic, and by visit 7, we used to do a re-eval on people, and I'd have to ask people do you know what you originally came in here for? And I'm just telling you, man, a lot of people, probably 50% of the people wouldn't even remember what they originally came in for. And then I would say, so what else has improved? And since they started, the list was long. Mm-hmm. I would just listen to what was improving in people's lives. Most of the time, it was energetic. It was their relationships with people. It was how they showed up to work. It was a lot of personality and attitude stuff. So a lot of times people come in and they think that a chiropractor is supposed to get them out of some pain or get them out of a situation that they're in physically. But what they don't realize is that once, you stick under care and you go with a plan and you trust somebody to be your chiropractor, things that you didn't even imagine could be corrected with your body rebalanced, start getting better.
Absolutely.
And that's the miracle. When you ask people to tell a miracle story, the miracle story is just recalibrating people's physiology through their nervous system to where they can function better. That doesn't ever get talked about.
And that function is across the board. It's not just like you said, it's not just neck pain, back pain, or sciatica. It's everything, everything.
But that stuff is a catalyst, and that stuff will wake you up. And that stuff will make you start to investigate who can help me with this. Mm-hmm. But a lot of times that's just the tip of the iceberg. Mm-hmm. Then you start going down below the water and below the surface, and you see how crazy the health plan is for this person. Most people don't. Most people don't have any type of a direction for a health plan.
Yeah.
And that's why they end up in the mess that they're in. The only direction they have is go to work, raise a good family, things like that. But they don't get any education on how to stay healthy long term. We've missed the mark with that one.
Definitely.
I think we nailed it with dentistry. Everybody knows from a young age, if you want to have a good smile and nice teeth, and you got to go get your teeth checked, and you got to get your teeth cleaned, and you don't want cavities. But nobody even thinks about how important the spine and the nervous system is to start educating at a young age.
Yeah.
And I think that's why we're in the big mess we're in today, is because people didn't learn accountability to stay healthy long-term for longevity. They passed the buck to somebody else that had to go in and say, all right, sir, you didn't take care of yourself for 25 years. Now you got to start doing this thing.
Mm-hmm. Well, not only did we not learn accountability, it's we're almost farmed into this system of not almost, we are farmed into this system where, we become a product for the healthcare industry. Mm-hmm. And, not to get too much into that, but it's that's what we're taught. That's what we're advertised. That's what we're advertised towards, everything that's bright and shiny, now is terrible for us. All the new things or either that or it's a band-aid for a problem that an affiliate company or something like that has created.
Yeah, it's definitely not geared to keep you healthy. I tell people this all the time. We should have two doctors in our life, one to keep us healthy and one to save us from dying.
Mm-hmm.
And I think in this nation we do, and probably worldwide, we do a really great job of keeping people from dying, historically.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know about today. I think a lot of things are changing in that aspect. But I think when we think historically, the world has done a really good job of trauma care.
Exactly.
But when it comes to like finding somebody that can tell you how to eat, move your body, stay healthy neurologically, that was never focused on. The only people that ever focused on that was the chiropractic profession. And I think that's why, I'll answer my own question. That's why I think, chiropractic is going to be something more important moving forward. Year after year, day after day, month after month, second after second, minute after minute, chiropractic is going to become on the radar as I want that. I need that. My family needs that. And, I was telling you off camera, like that's why I started this journey 14 years ago, was because I saw that chiropractic would eventually be the main thing that people were going to be attracted to stay healthy long term.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So you go through school, you get out in school, you learn how to become a good chiropractic adjuster. You learn philosophy, and then you get into like clinic work. How did you decide to go associate route versus going and opening your own shop or working for some franchise?
I just wanted to learn more. I was told that I could do it on my own, and it's not that I doubted myself. It's just that I really firmly believe in like the finding like a mentor or like somebody who's already mastered the craft. I think that the best way to do it is to learn from someone who's already done it. Not to say that like people who go out and start their own practices, like if you're ready, you're ready. It's just like me personally, I felt that there was something that I was still looking for, maybe like a piece of the puzzle that I didn't even know that existed that could have helped me. And I am really glad that I did what I did. It's been found a great mentor, and my journey has been awesome.
I love so much about that because I really believe that there's a lot of like 20-year practitioners, 30-year practitioners that are right now looking for somebody to bring into their clinic to like become an apprentice and like learn from them. And like, I think that that's a real hole in the market too with chiropractic is a chiropractor usually doesn't go for like an associate until they're desperate. And then it's a desperate relationship. And a lot of times I think if we just matched people up and said, hey, this is your preceptor, this is your first year, this is your second year, go out there, become legendary with another doc, learn all the skills, learn how to run a business, and buy that doc out, number one, if they want to. Open up a satellite office to that organization, number two, or build a legacy plan to like take that practice over. There's a lot of things that people can do and not have to go out there and bear the whole, responsibility of becoming like a first and second year practice, like upstart.
Exactly. And there's a lot of pitfalls that you can avoid too, just by talking to somebody that's been through the whole thing.
Yeah. Mentorship's huge, man. Like, honestly, like if I could like pick a podcast mentor, I'd pick somebody like Joe Rogan. So Joe, if you're out there listening, hey, I want you to be my mentor.
Let's do it. Come on, Joe.
But you know how it is. Like, you have to find somebody, like you said, that's been there and done that, like before you, to teach you and to like make sure that you understand like what to do, what not to do, and how to become more effective at the things that matter the most. I think a lot of times people spend so much time doing stuff that doesn't matter, and before they know it, they're not using their hands.
Yeah.
They're just so busy trying to like, push the student loan debt back and like all the paperwork and passing the boards and finding the lease and, management stuff, like the whole thing. It's a lot, man.
Yeah, for sure.
So getting into your going into your fourth year, it sounds like. What have been some ways that since you've been in the clinic that you've done for marketing that you've seen that have worked? What are things that you've seen that you've done that didn't work?
So our clinic is blessed to have an abundance of internal referrals. We did try Facebook marketing for a little bit, but I mean, we were fortunate to be able to be selective, and it brings in a different type of patient, or maybe there's a better way to have done it. But so we don't do too much external marketing. We do a lot of internal events. We invite friends, family, groups, guests. We're also in the process of building business partnerships as well, and that's been pretty fruitful for us as well. So those kinds of ideas are really, really great. But building your community is extremely important for your new patients, because like people know you, and you're able to get a uh, good referral. And that patient that comes in is a patient that knows what to expect, that is ready for what you're offering, versus somebody that you have to reframe their entire mindset around what it means to even just be healthy in general. So that's been something that's been really, really good, and that's worked really well in our office as well.
You've made it to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. This episode is sponsored by Imaging Services, Chiro Health USA, Chiro Moguls, Pure Chiro Notes, Titronics, Sherman College of Chiropractic, New Patients in a Box, the Influencer Authority Podcast Training, Mango Voice, Life Chiropractic College West, and M-Sculpt. Let's hustle. So build business partners. Like, what types of business partners are you guys focused towards?
So other natural, we can be health related. So our office is a maximized living office. So we operate off of the 5 essentials, right? Core chiropractic being your most important. You've got nutrition, mindset, oxygen, exercise, and eliminating toxins. So 2 partners that we're working with right now are OsteoStrong San Jose. And that's a business that's dedicated to building up bone density for people that, are even just like strength for the elderly or people with, osteoporosis. And that's awesome. It goes hand in hand with chiropractic, so you can get your strength and you can get your alignment as well. Hot 8 Yoga and Santana Row. So it's a yoga studio, hot yoga, and they're just awesome. It's a really nice facility. You get your body moving. They've got a bunch of different classes for different paces. So they got our oxygen and exercise there as well. And then also we partner with a naturopath in the area, Dr. Young.
That is good. I'm sure that anybody watching this is going to learn some stuff from this interview for sure.
Yeah.
Follow up on that. I'm just going to add in some information that I like to share with people. And when I do my talks, I'm like, did you guys ever think about these businesses to align yourself with? So number one, I would recommend everybody to go and find an urgent care and to build a relationship with the people actually administering care there, and learn how to get cross referrals from them, because they want to send somebody to a holistic center.
Yeah.
Those people working in there, they don't want to give more drugs and more surgery. They want to find a rehab facility that can actually help people. So I think that building relationship with urgent care would be huge. I think that building relationships with a few personal injury attorneys would be really important for chiropractors out there. If you want to manage in that type of industry, that would be like a layup opportunity. Take these people out to lunch. Find other area chiropractors in your area, your network. Build cross referrals with those groups too, because a lot of those people, they're specialized. They're only taking care of like kids. They're only taking care of families. They're only taking care of like a certain group of people. So building relationships like within your community with those other practitioners would be huge too. Plus, it's good for the culture of chiropractic. One of my mentors would always tell me we're more alike than we are different. So meeting other like-minded individuals, other people serving their communities, could be a good thing for the chiropractic profession too. And then lastly, I know that's kind of an ugly place. Sometimes people misconstrue it, but you got to build relationships with the joint, because they're seeing a lot of cases that they don't do x-rays on. They need to refer to someone else. And that if you can build a relationship with that group, they're going to send you the people that are hot. the people that need to get some films on them. And that's a good way to like build the community local too, because those people don't want to send them somewhere else. They're chiropractors, So I think I always try to infuse my conversations with those couple places to network through.
Yeah. Awesome. Beautiful. It's great advice.
Yeah, we never know until we start talking to people what works for them. And I like the idea of aligning yourself with hot yoga. I like the idea of aligning yourself with an Osteo Strong. Shout out to those guys. I know the people that started that company. I think they're doing a lot, and they're going to expand and grow tremendously over the next couple of years.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So getting into the nuts and bolts of this conversation, let's talk a little bit more about you. What are you doing to stay healthy? I mean, I'm sure chiropractic, right?
Yeah. I mean, I get adjusted at least 2 to 3 times a week because we do see a lot of, we're a high volume office. So I got to take care of my body for one. Weight training for sure. Fasting, big part, meditation, journaling, mobility exercises, and then calisthenics as well are really big for me. And also a big part of staying healthy is finding other people to keep you accountable to do it too. So find other people, build a community around it, to have somebody that's going to text you like, hey, did you run your 2 miles today, or that you said you were going to do, or do your 100 push-ups or whatever, kind of make it fun. Because when you make it fun, then you have somebody to hold you accountable, you're more likely to actually follow through.
There's so much wisdom in that. I'm curious though, like I just started fasting like 5 days ago.
Mm-hmm.
How do you fast, and how did you decide that was going to be something you're going to integrate into your health, like what you were looking for in your own health?
So I kind of got into fasting actually in Chiro school. I learned more about it. I had done it like time to time, not intentionally, but just, being busy and not eating. Then, I read a lot about the benefits, hormone balancing, killing cancer, regulating your blood sugar, things like that, right? Building muscle. So then, I decided to incorporate intermittent fasting when I was like really going to the gym like almost every day. That was like my lunchtime routine in chiropractic college. So, I learned more about that. And then I'm also a part of a men's retreat right now with the Brothers of Delta Sigma Chi. It's a chiropractic fraternity. So we're doing a retreat called the Delt Warrior Retreat, which is, basically just like creating a space of accountability and a safe space for men to come together, be vulnerable, push each other, and just try to become better men and serve the communities and our other relationships. So we're doing a lot of working out right now as well.
So walk me through like a fasting day, or like a fasting like routine. Like, is it like you're intermittent fasting, not eating between like, or you're only eating between like 12 and 8?
So right now we're doing a 124-hour fast a week. So usually I'll start like the night before, or sometimes I'll push it to 36 hours. But the night before, make sure you get a lot of good protein, healthy fats, things are going to sustain your body over the next few days, or the next day or so. And then in the morning, you can have black coffee and water. Sometimes I'll add a little bit of like electrolytes, like magnesium, potassium, stuff like that, just to make sure that my body's functioning properly. And then you can eat dinner the next day or eat breakfast the next morning.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's some really cool advice. Right now I'm on the 8-hour window, and I've been doing that, and the 16 hours around it don't really bother me. So
yeah,
it's new to me though. So I'm excited to see what can happen.
It's good stuff. Yeah, your body, it'll become easier like as your body becomes a fat burner versus a sugar burner. So it's like you start to switch over your main source of fuel once you get acclimated to that and change your diet as well.
Yeah, I'm ready to see what's happening. But let's future pace a little bit.
Okay.
Chiropractic. Where's
Yeah.
the profession going?
Oh man, my vision for chiropractic is like next level. Like everyone's going to be getting adjusted. The science behind it is just going to continue to prove, everything that we've been talking about innate intelligence, about how important it is for your body to live without interference, and getting into mainstream athletics. I mean, there are a bunch of pro sports teams already have chiropractors, right? But really doing like research in those areas and seeing, like how we're impacting on a game to game basis. It's going to be the gateway into any type of healthcare. I believe, going to your chiropractor first, with the exception of like outrageous trauma or anything like that, obviously. Yeah, I'm super excited for where the profession is going, and I think it's gonna help us develop as a people, physically, emotionally, spiritually. It'll help to bring together communities.
Yeah, I have a similar vision, man. I have a similar vision for it. So some of the people that got you to be where you are today,
Mm.
who are some of the people that have really poured into you and supported you on your journey? And if you could sit down with one person and have a conversation with them for an hour, who would you choose?
Man, any person throughout all of history, sit down with one person and have a conversation with them for an hour. It changes on a day-to-day basis. Right now, somebody that I really want to sit down and talk to is Vishen Lakiani. He is the founder of Mind Valley. Have you heard of Mind Valley?
No.
So Mind Valley is like this group, or I almost want to call it like a school, but they're really into like just like teachings and like deeper knowledge of the world. Seeing what it really means to be human, like pushing the boundaries of consciousness and researching things of that nature. So this guy is like writing a lot of books and talking to some of the world's most like extraordinary minds right now. And I love their view on health and wellness, which is very similar and in alignment with chiropractic and abundance, manifestation, just working to create the very best life for yourself possible. And I love it. I always admire people that go out and gather information from the highest sources to bring it back and spread it to everyone.
Amen.
Just making sure everyone can have access to that knowledge and those resources.
One of the things I always tell my friends that are close to me is you got to look in obvious places.
Mm-hmm.
Don't overthink things, don't overlook things, just like go to where it's supposed to be and go for it there. So if everything's like in one central location, it's easier for people to get access to get information.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's talk about miracle stories, man. You've been out for 3 years. You've been on a mission trip,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe more. I don't know, but tell me, like, what's something you've seen that has given you more hope in chiropractic and the power of the adjustment?
Oh man, my most inspiring miracle story, I would say, happened like early in my chiropractic career. I was actually just getting out of clinic, or about to get out of clinic, and I had gone on a mission trip to India. So Lifewest has a sanctioned mission trip, working with the Nirankari mission. And first of all, just the entire mission itself was amazing. It was a tent city that was built to house like 8 million people during the day and sleep 2 million at night. So I'm talking like tents like as far as the eye can see. Like,
wow.
And so we had a whole wing in this area that was dedicated to like natural healthcare. And so we had got our own chiropractic tent, and there were probably about 65 of us in Mumbai, India. And we saw about like 10,000 people over like 3 days.
Wow.
And me personally, like, I was fortunate enough to have an experience with a mother and her son. So while I was adjusting, every person adjusting gets their own translator, right, that they work with. And so there's this mother and her son came up to me like during the flow of adjusting during the day, and they asked for the president of Lifewest, of the college at the time, or still the president now, is Dr. Oberstein. And to see if he could be seen by him. They said that they had an appointment with him, and that she wanted to get her son checked. And her son, and she wasn't a large woman by any means. I want to say maybe she was like 5'2", 5'3", and her son came up to maybe about her hip, right, a little higher. And I asked how old he was, and she said he was 11 years old. And I was like, wow. Very, very small, frail kid, but he looked like he had a positive attitude, and he was just excited to be there and just taking in everything that was going on. And so I went to the back to go, talk to Dr. Overstein, and I was like, hey, you've got this woman and her son. They're here. They're waiting for you. They want you to check out her son. He's been having some developmental issues, and also he was born deaf. And he said, okay, tell them to hold on for just a moment. Just got a couple people back here to wrap up with, and I'll be out there in just a second. So I was like, okay. So I tell the young lady and her son, they have a seat. And I keep adjusting, and some time goes by, and I look over, and they're just hanging out. About 20 minutes passes, and then like a little bit over an hour passes, and then some more time after that. So I go check on them, and I'm like, hey, has anybody come to talk to you? And then she's like, oh no, we're still here, we're waiting. I was like, okay, let me go in the back and check and see what's going on. So I go back there, and it's like chaos. There's so many people back there. It's outrageous. And then Dr. Oberstein actually was invited to adjust the guru of the mission, which is something that you can't exactly like turn down in the moment. And so I asked him what should we do about her, and and he looked at me, and we had like a total like Star Wars moment, and he goes, like you're ready to do this, like I've known you throughout your career, throughout your school, like he's like I have full faith in you, like you can do this. And I was like, okay, well, like I'm willing to give it my best shot. So I go to talk to the mom, get a little bit more information about the son, palpate the son, find out what's going on with him. And he has like a knot in the side of his neck, maybe like half the size of a golf ball. It's just like sticking out right there. Right. And so I was like, oh man, like this kid's atlas is way out. Right. I asked about the birth, and, he was born with this cord wrapped around his neck and stuff. There were some complications and issues, and I was like, okay, I can see what's going on here clearly, right? And so I set him up to toggle him, get my listing, and I'm using like a speeder board, and I actually have to toggle him like with my pinky because my pisiform was too big for his face. So it was like my whole hand was like covering his face. So I toggled him like this, and I first I was overthinking a lot, and I was like, you know what, like let's just remove the interference, and whatever happens, happens. I toggle him. There was this crazy popping noise, and like my heart stopped for a second. I was like, oh my gosh, like what's going on with this kid? He's looking at me, I'm looking at him, like, are you okay? He's like, am I okay? And then he just breaks out into the biggest smile like I've ever seen, and just starts cracking up laughing. Like, and then I'm laughing, he's laughing. I'm not even sure if either one of us knew what we were laughing about, but it was a good time. And then his mom walks over, and she just kind of like snaps in his ear, and then he turns his head, and he looks at her, and she starts crying. And in that moment, like it didn't really hit me until like, she's like thanking me, and I'm like, whoa, like this kid can hear. And it let me know, like, I didn't do that. Like, sure, I delivered the adjustment, but like, I didn't fix this kid's hearing, right? Like his body was already capable of doing that, and we just removed the interference.
Yeah.
And that like really solidified for me, like everything that I've been working on and everything that I have been putting my heart and soul into over that 3 years of school, and just how powerful it was for somebody to just come in and believe that they could be healed, because, they didn't even really know what chiropractic was out there. They were coming in, getting like a 10-minute intro talk and hopping on the table like, all right, like, let's do this. And just the amount of trust and that feeling that kid's smile and like his laugh brought me is like something that sticks with me to this day. That's my miracle story.
Listening to that gives me hope for humanity, really. And it reminds me of this saying. I don't know. I think it's possibly B.J. Palmer, but the body needs nothing extra in it. It simply needs no interference. Mm-hmm. And I believe that when you clear that interference and you correct that subluxation, the body gets a chance to actually be alive for the first time. And people don't know how much the world is dim around them because they don't understand the profession of chiropractic. And I'm just going to close out with one last question for you. It might be a lengthy one again, because I don't think anything between you and I discussing chiropractic has been short. But let's paint a picture. If you were the last chiropractor on planet Earth, would the profession survive?
Absolutely. For sure. I'd teach people for free. Come in, show up, learn your anatomy, I'd make it my mission to make sure that chiropractic survives. There is no denying the truth. Like you can't bury the truth. Even if I was to die and not teach anyone else, somebody would discover that, the world, or that the body had an innate intelligence, and that, removing the interference, you can't suppress truth. It's not, it can never remains covered. It always reveals itself in time.
Well, we should consider doing that now. Last question. Is there anything I didn't ask you that you'd like to share with our audience today before we call it a day?
No, not really. I mean, just last, words I want to say is just, to the chiropractors out there, thank you for what you're doing. Continue to work hard. The world needs you. Even if you don't feel rewarded, or you feel lost, or you feel like you might not be where you're at in life, just know that, you have truth, and you're guided by something greater. So continue to follow your purpose, and let it take you where it takes you, and walk with faith, not by sight.
Well, Dr. Dahren, I really appreciate you being on the show today. It's been a great episode. Your episode 477. I want to thank you for being our guest today. I'm going to close out by telling everyone out there, you're just one story away. Keep hustling. I'll see you guys in the next episode.
Absolutely.
Have a great night.
Have a good one.
Thanks for listening to Chiro Hustle. Don't forget to subscribe and check back next week to continue hustling.